started by you. Let everybody do. Okay, so today's review session is being recorded, right? Maybe you get access to recorded lesson after today. Oh, transcript. Oh, I see many transcript. No, I don't want to see the transcript. Get it up. So again, today the last session just for the course review, right? It doesn't take long. But before I go to the review, okay, I have to make sure that you know that I already marked all of your assignment score, right? You see in the Blackboard the assignment score plus column in the gray center in your Blackboard. So that is the final, your final assignment score plus your bonus points. Your bonus points consists of bonus 1 and bonus 2 columns. All right, I must say congratulations to Rang, Win, Ying Trang here, Thảo, okay,
Yeah.
Win, right? Yes, I don't remember everybody who scored over 90 points as the assignment class. Right, the student, I just called the name, performed very well the assignment, and they actively participated in the class, so they have some bonus points. All right. So you also see the Blackboard, the review chapter right for today, and with the practice problems in the Blackboard. Right? Make sure that you get access to the Blackboard practice. Okay, I told you the other week, right? The final exam scope for chapter 9 layout, right? Chapter number 2, chapter 11 supply chain management, chapter 12 inventory, chapter 14 material requirements plans, and chapter 15 short-term scheduling. Okay, I must tell you today it's not just to repeat what I have talked to you in the class. It takes nearly 4 months for the whole semester. So your learning is the process, week by week, right? Day by day, month by month. It's not only one day. So today I just revise again, right? The review picture. Let me share. Oh, a long time I didn't use the Microsoft Teams, and I almost forgot, right? Where I click on share. Got it. Share screen. All right. All right. So press the like button so that I know that you see my screen. Click the like button, please, if you see my screen. Okay. Yeah. Good. If you look at the team, right, you also see the tab POM review. POM review. All right, so let's see. Zoom in, zoom in. What is it? Why it's so complicated, right? Okay, up, please. All right, so I just to give you a brief snapshot of chapter 9 layout. Uh, in the chapter 9 layout strategies, there are many times of there's many times of layout. Ingi, why I saw your name appear so often on the screen? All right, so, oh, what happened? So many student name on the screen. All right. Oh, QV. Okay, it doesn't matter. Let's go on, right? In chapter 9, layout strategies in our POM course, right? There are many times of the layout. Anybody can tell me some times of the layouts? I told you, right? Even though your assignment plus score already there in your blackboard, but if today oh, the student can modify my layout. Okay, but if today anyone answer my question, actively participate in the discussion, right? I still can give you some more bonus points. All right. How many times of the layout in chapter 9 layout strategies?
7.
Huh?
7.
Okay. What's your name? I don't see your name.
Dạ, Phương Thảo.
Oh, Lê Thị Thảo. Okay. So can you give the names of the 7 layout strategies? Can you tell us?
Yeah, office layout, retail layout, warehouse and storage layout, fixed position layout, process-oriented layout, work cell layout, and product-oriented layout.
Very good, very good. Okay, yeah, Thảo is correct, right? But for the final exam, right? You know that the final exam is closed book, right? I narrow down the scope, right? Even though there are many times of the layout, but you can focus on the repetitive. You can focus on repetitive and product-oriented layout. All right, for example, to assemble, right, the car, Toyota follow the assembly line process. So Toyota Corporation prepare the assembly line layout, an approach that puts fabricated parts or components together at the serious workstations. And one of the outstanding of the features of the assembly line layout is to balance the assembly line. Balancing here means to make the time, right, of the stations equal, as balanced, as even, as equal as possible. Because when the cycle time of the station are almost the same, right, we can reduce the total idle time per cycle. Hence, we can increase the efficiency in using the resources. The resources can be the machine, the resources can be worker. All right. I'm going to give you some practice problem right after I recap right the major concept. Make sure that you review right some important concepts right when you balance the assembly line, the cycle time concept, right? And make sure that you read again carefully the list of the rules of heuristics. The rules of heuristics is the expert rule, right? So we don't need to be mathematicians, right, to formulate a problem and try to resolve a mathematical problem to come to the best or the optimal solution. It takes time, right? As the business manager, right, we can follow the step-by-step procedures suggested by the experts. So those procedures are called the heuristics rule, right? So when you want to balance the line, okay, the most important thing is you calculate the design cycle time. To calculate the design cycle time, you must know the demand, right? So from the demand, you know the design cycle time, and then if you have a known the design cycle time, you know that you need to combine station with station so that you reduce the total idle time. Okay, the principle like that, but I will walk you through the step-by-step solution of one typical problem using the heuristics rule. How many heuristics rule in the textbook, chapter 9? How many heuristics rules for line balancing? Anyone? How many rules of heuristics for assembly line balancing? Take a note here, right? The respondent. You still have a time, right, to receive some bonus point, right? Lê Thị Phương Thảo is already, right? How many rules of heuristics for line balancing? No answer. I'm surprised. Phương Nguyên, how many rules of heuristics for line balancing? You hear me?
Yes.
How many? When you want to combine a station with another station, okay, you can select one of several heuristics rules. Why? Because there's a precedent diagram, right? There's several followers, so you must select which follower to combine for you to combine. All right. So you follow some heuristics rule for combination. What are they? Nguyên? Nhi? Yên Nhi?
I think we have 5 rules.
Yeah, what are they? Can you name it? Can you name them?
First, the longest task time and most following tasks rank positional way, shortest takes time, and last number of following tasks.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's correct, right? What's your name?
My name is Wing.
Wing, okay, Wing, okay. Yeah, it's the answer right there on the share screen. Nobody look. Okay, in the share screen, line balancing heuristics include longest task operation time, commerce, most following task, commerce, range positional weight, commerce, shortest task operation time, commerce, this number of following tasks, right? So if you face line balancing problems, you have to read carefully right? The problem asks you to follow which heuristic rule. For example, if the problem asks you to follow the longest task operation time, all right, so you have to look for the follower with the longest task time and then combine with that task. All right, I will give you the demonstrative exercise later. All right, so that is the narrow down, the narrow scope, right, of chapter 9, right? Just focus your review on assembly line balancing, understand what is the cycle time, right, of the process. Okay, understand how to apply the heuristic rule for line balancing. All right, next chapter, chapter 11, supply chain management. This is very big topic, right? And in our POM course, we didn't have much time, right, to cover all of the topic of the supply chain management. So you just narrow down your review on several key concepts of the supply chain management. For example, the supply chain strategic importance, why the supply chain management is so important, right? And we know that supply chains management includes several stages, from the upstream to the downstream, from the suppliers to the distributors, right, to the manufacturers, and to the wholesalers and retailers, until the downstream customer. Now, if you look at the upstream, the supplier, the manager must make a correct make or buy decision. Okay, so make or buy decision. So the choice, that is the choice between making the component a service within the company itself, or the company has to outsource, purchase the materials from the outside source or outside companies. All right, there are 6 sourcing strategies. Right, one, many suppliers, okay, or one supplier. 2, some company want to maintain a long-term partnership with just a few suppliers, especially when the company want to keep premium quality. All right, for example, Boeing, right? They want to make sure that their airplane has the premium, the top quality, so they are very strict at select the supply to make sure that the quality of the components of the airplane is the best. So big company like a Boeing want to follow the strategy to develop a long-term partnership with just a few quality suppliers. Or strategy number 3, vertical integration. Vertical integration, right? Integration. So if you look at the upstream and downstream in the supply chain, so when they say vertical integration, it means that the manufacturer will combine with some stages in the upstream. All right. For example, if Vinamilk, right, would like to raise their own cow for milking, okay, that's an example of the upstream vertical integration. Okay, instead of purchasing the milk from the farmers outside of the Vinamilk, if the company follow the vertical integration, right, the company, right, make, right, the milk by the company itself. Okay, so vertical integration can be backward or forward. Backward vertical integration means that the company will make the materials by the company itself, Downstream vertical integration means that the company has to distribute the final products, the finished products, right, by itself instead of ask some logistics company to transport or distribute the final products. You understand what I mean? For example, Apple, right, integrate the downstream activities like distribution activity, right? A clear downstream vertical integration by Apple is that Apple responsible for its product distribution, right? We know that Apple has its own Apple Store, right? Apple Store, right? So Apple distributed its iPhone products right by itself. That's a good example of the downstream vertical integration. Right, strategy 4. Some company implement the joint venture liên doanh, right, liên doanh với một công ty ở địa phương, right. For example, if a foreign company, right, that wants to invest in Vietnam, maybe due to the regulation of the Vietnamese law, the foreign company needs to form joint venture with a Vietnamese company. All right. Maybe the foreign companies, right, bring in Vietnam the high technology, okay, and the Vietnamese company will contribute, right, the labor and the physical resources like a land factory. Okay, so the strategy number 4 about joint venture. Strategy 5. Developing terrestrial networks is like the long-term partnership supply chain strategy, and the 6th sourcing strategy is to develop the virtual communities that use suppliers on as needed basis. Okay, like Amazon, right? Like Shopee. All right, they have so many suppliers, and they don't. Whenever the virtual companies receive an order, they contact, right, any supplier, right, as needed. All right, so again, the final exam, the closed book. You are permitted to bring in the exam room only one A4 sheet. So make sure that you jot down the key concepts, right? As don't forget the key concept, otherwise you cannot answer completely the conceptual question. There are one conceptual question to problem solving questions. What are the supply chain risks? All right. You can quickly read, right, this component of the supply chain, but maybe you can skip it, right? All right, so that's on the chapter 11, supply chain management. The next chapter you need to review is chapter 12, the inventory management. Inventory management. All right. Inventory management. All right. Inventory models for independent demand in the chapter 12. So you have to review, right, the basic inventory models, including the EOQ or economic economic, right? Economic order quantity, right, model. So this is the formula to calculate the Q star or EOQ. Q star is just the general term refer to the best model, best or optimal model, right? But when you use this formula, Q star equals square root of 2ds divided by h. That is for the economic or the quantity model, right? EOQ model. Okay, make sure that you understand D is the demand for the whole year, not weekly demand, not monthly demand, right? D must be the demand for the whole year. All right. S, the ordering cost, right? How much, right, the company has to pay per order. H, holding cost per unit for the whole year again, right? Okay, if you don't know how to measure, right, the element like that, and you just use the wrong unit of measurement, right, you will come up with the wrong EOQ, right? When you have calculated the Q star or the EOQ, you can calculate how many orders per year. How they say expected number of orders per year, right? The abbreviation is N. And then you can also calculate the expected time between the orders. All right. So in inventory cost for the whole year equal the two cost elements, right? The first cost element is setup or order cost, and the second cost element is the holding cost. All right. So the objective of inventory manager is to minimize the TC, or the total annual inventory cost. Make sure you understand the concept of the lead time. That is the time between placing an order and receiving the order. And the concept of the ROP, reorder point, right? The inventory level at which the action is taken to replenish the stock item. All right, so the ROP require the continuous review, right? So if you review the inventory level on the daily basis, and you see that the inventory level drops, right, below the ROP point, then you must place the new order. Otherwise, right, otherwise there will be disruption, or suspension of the production due to the shortage of the materials. All right, so you can calculate the ROP using this formula. The second basic inventory model in chapter 12 is the Q star in the production, right, or production order quantity model, an economic order quantity technique applied to production orders. So the POQ model modify just a little bit the classical EOQ formula, right? So if you look at the denominator, you can see the small d and the small p. D for the daily usage, and P for the daily production capacity of the company. So normally, if the customer is the just-in-time customer, they just come to your factory, for example, and receive a portion of the finished products, then it means that the inventory level will go down. All right, so the POQ model, right, must reflect, right, the change in the inventory level due to the small d daily demand, right? The third basic inventory model in chapter 12 is the quantity discount. a reduced price for item purchased in the large quantities. Let's say if you have to compare, right, the TC, the total cost among three order quantity. All right. In case the seller, right, promise some discount if you buy a large quantities, right? The more you buy, the more discount. That's the principle. Then you have to make comparison, right? In total relevant cost or total cost here, which include the PD, price, product price, okay, product price. You see the third element, you must add it to the quantity discount, PD, P for the unit price, D for annual occurrence. So you calculate, right, the total product price, total product cost using this formula, P multiplied with D. All right, so you see, quantity discount have the three cost element. All right, if you look back the EOQ model, right, you consider only two cost elements, the ordering cost and holding cost. However, if the seller offer the discount, you have to consider the third cost element, that is the product cost, PD. All right, before you choose the Q star with the smallest total cost. I must tell you that, right, the learning process, right, you have nearly 4 months in the whole semester. All right, so today just review, right? Today is not for me to teach you again, right? I already prepared a practice problem in the Blackboard. So after today you practice, I will show the solution, right? I will show the solution, the practice problem in the Blackboard, right? So you must practice. I give you several attempts of submission. So you practice and check your answer with the solution in the Blackboard, right? If it's correct, it's good. If wrong, you have to do it again. All right, so so the practice problem questions, right, must include on chapter I review here, chapter 9, right? Chapter 11, just for the concept, no calculation, right? Practice problems normally for calculation. So practice problems in the Blackboard also include a question in chapter 12 and chapter 14, right? Chapter 14, how to develop a material requirement plan. It doesn't require so much calculation, but I will give you some. I will review, right, quickly, right, some practice exercise for MIP completion, right? Now move to the last chapter, chapter 15, short-term scheduling. All right, for the short-term scheduling, chapter 15, you know that, right, an organization actually can make a competitive advantage if the company, right, can maximize the utilization of its resources by daily and even hourly schedule, right? So short-term scheduling it's just based on the daily basis, right? Sometimes hourly basis. It's not long-term schedule. It's not like a project schedule, right? You learn project management course, and you know that project schedule is for the start to the end of the project, and the big project can last several years. But for the short-term schedule in the POM course, right, you just care about the hourly or daily schedule. So it related to priority rules. So it means that in one day, if many orders arrive, then you need to make decision by prioritizing, right, which order to complete first, which order will complete next, which order will complete last, so that you can satisfy some of the criteria, like you minimize the average completion time and you maximize the utilization rate. Right, and the best short-term priority rule is shortest processing time. Why? Because we know that if we follow the SPT, shortest processing time priority rule, we can reduce the completion time for all of the jobs. We can maximize the utilization rate for available resources. All right, so that's all. Not so much, right? Not so much. All right, so now not so much. All right, you want to take a rest, a break, or you don't want a break and we continue and we finish early? All right, maybe we need some break, right? So during the break, I want everyone to look back at the chapter number 9, focusing on assembly line balancing, right? Focusing on assembly line balancing, and then 10 minutes after, I will be back and I will let you practice one exercise about assembly line balancing. Is it clear? From Phương Linh? Linh, are you here?
Yes.
All right. Okay, 10 minutes break. All right. I will be back at 2:10. Right. In the meantime, right, read again the assembly line balancing. After, when I come back, right, I will let you practice one problem related to assembly line balancing. All right. So let me do what? Let me unshare my picture, right? How I can unshare my picture. Oh, it doesn't matter, right? What is this? Oh, here, right. Okay, be back. Be back. Okay, press the like button so I know you hear me. Phương Giang, press the like button. All right, Phương Nguyên, thank you. Right, Phương, very active. All right, yes. So now it's time for practice. All right. So the first practice problem is for chapter 9, layout, assembly line balancing. So I just show again one of your homework. Right, one of your homework in chapter 9. It's not strange at all. It's familiar. All right, it's familiar to you. So this is the medical checkup process, chapter 9.21. Okay, so let's say, right, somebody give you this process, and they ask you to do line balancing, right? Balancing the line, right? They ask you to balance the line. Okay. Okay. So can you, if you look at the step-by-step procedures for line balancing, is there any missing information for line balancing? Anyone? Oh, you forgot many things. All right, so anybody repeat the steps for line balancing? Take time. You can open the book now and tell me what are the steps for assembly line balancing in chapter 9. Oh, nobody remember. Okay, I call somebody, all right? Mrs. Bland. Anybody know who is Mrs. Bland? Bích Trâm, are you here? Bích Trâm?
Dạ có thầy.
Okay, okay. Bích Trâm, Bland, can you read the steps for line balancing in chapter 9?
Tính cycle time đó thầy.
At the end of the chapter, right? There's a certain problem. Bích Trâm, your total assignment score very good, right? Now you forgot. So can you remind your classmate of the step-by-step procedures for assembly line balancing in chapter 9? Bích Trâm, let.
Bước đầu tiên là xếp mấy cái thứ tự của task đó thầy. Xếp thứ tự của mấy cái task là
English, right? Nobody forced you to speak Vietnamese. Nobody forced you to speak fast. You can speak slowly. Practice English.
The first step is arrange task.
Okay. Next. Next. Come on, Vikram, you didn't know where assembly line balancing in chapter 9 is. Look at the end of the chapter 9.
Step 2 is calculate the cycle time.
Yeah, okay. Step 2, calculate the design cycle time. Okay, but to calculate the design cycle time, we must know what? Jump.
Can
But to
you
calculate
speak?
the design cycle, huh?
Can you repeat, teacher?
Okay, you say that step number 2 is to calculate the design cycle time. But to calculate the design cycle time, which data must we know?
The production time available and the unit, the total unit.
No. We must know the demand, right? We must know the daily demand. How many units of the product we must deliver to our customer, right? And based on the demand, we calculate the cycle time. All right, thank you, Vikram. Right, you still have a time to review. All right, so I show you right the answer from one of the students. But if you have a good memory, you can know, right? So the step number 1, as Vikram said, we must arrange the tasks or activities in the format of the resident diagram, right? We must prepare the resident diagram. Which task must be for which task? Because we need to follow the heuristic rule, right? You remember the rules of heuristics where we want to combine a step with another step. We combine with the followers. We cannot combine, for example, the task number 1 with the task number 11, right? We have to combine with the direct follower. All right, so we don't have a time to go to the details, right? But I'm sure in one of the class I already gave the instruction, the answer to this homework problem. So step number 1, you arrange the tasks right in the format of the residence diagram like this. All right, like this. All right. This student also show the combination already, right? But the first step is to show the residence diagram: A before C, C before B, B before D, D before E, E before F, F before G. It's not exactly correct because if you look at the condition here, right? If you look at the condition in this problem description, they said the medical history must be taken first. Task number 1, medical history must be first, and exit medical evaluation task is the last. All right. So it's up to you. It's up to you, right, to arrange, right, the president's diagram, the president relationship, right, among the tasks, right, beside medical history and exit medical evaluation. You know what I mean, right? For example, maybe blood test before eye exam, or eye exam before blood test. All right, because there's no resident relationships among blood test and eye exam. As long as right? You show medical history is the first, and the exit medical evaluation is the last in your diagram. All right, here the students show A, right? The medical history first, and then G, the exit medical evaluation last. All right. This student show the flow like this, right? Actually, this student jumped to the question about line balancing, right? Right. Now, after the precedent diagram done, you go to step 2. You calculate the required cycle time. It should be 16, right? Cycle time 16. Why? All right. Why? This student didn't show me the calculation. Let's have a look. All right, let's have a look. Right. This problem, does this problem tell us any information about the daily demand? Is there anywhere in this problem description telling us about how many customers arrive every day? We don't see it, right? We don't see it. We don't see how many arrivals a day. We don't know the daily demand. So our job easy. All right, so it means that we don't need to calculate the desired cycle time. And the cycle time now, which is subject to us, the cycle time subject to us, we just select the biggest cycle time. We just take the biggest cycle time, right? Which is 60 minutes, right? 60 minutes for the medical examination, 60 minutes. And we just balance the line based on 16. All right, how we balance the line, right, with the constraint that the maximum station time is 16. All right, how we follow the heuristic rule I told you, right? Heuristic rule. So let's say we use the heuristic rule that we combine the follower with the most followers. C had the most followers, right? So, this student doesn't tell us which heuristic rule, right? This student doesn't tell us which heuristic rule. So that's okay, right? It's okay. You combine A with C because because C is the follower, right? Because C is the follower of A. All right, let's say we combine A with C. We cannot combine A with B. Why? Because if we combine A with B blood test, the new station time is 18. Bigger than 16 is unacceptable, right? Because our objective is to balance the line, and the maximum time of a station is 16. You got that? All right, so that's the reason why we combine A with C, not A with B. All right, and the station 1 now has 2 tasks. A and C, and the new station time is 15. So how much idle time now at the station 1? Anybody? After we combine A with C, the new station time, the time at station 1 is 15 minutes. So if I ask you, okay, how much idle time at station now? What is the answer? What is the answer? What is the answer? Oh, you totally forgot. Yến Trang, are you here? Thanks.
Nào.
All right.
One minute.
Excellent. That's correct. Yến Trang, again, right? Yến Trang
Yes.
performed very well the assignment and the midterm exam so far, right? I hope you also perfect at the final exam. That's correct. Bonus point for Yến Trang. All right.
Ủa thầy ơi, bạn chưa kịp nói câu trả lời con nói á.
Ai? Bạn đó bạn nào?
Dạ Thảo.
Thảo rồi. Lê Thị Phương Thảo đúng không?
Nhưng mà hồi nãy đáp án là con nói à.
Là Thảo hả?
Dạ.
Ok. Thầy nhớ mà. Bonus. Rồi Yến Trang thầy gọi tên, Yến Trang trả lời cũng đúng thì bonus luôn. Okay, so we subtract 15 from the biggest station time at E, right? 16. So the idle time then 1. All right, and so on. Good. And you see, when we have a combine A with C, we reduce the idle time. If we just let one worker work on A, too much idle time. Too much idle time means that the efficiency is not good, right? Efficiency in using the resources is not good. So when we have a combine A with C, right, we reduce the idle time at station 1 by subtracting 15 from 16, right? So the idle time now only 1 minute, and that's not so bad, right? 1 minute as idle time is not so bad. So when we minimize the idle time at station 1, it means that the efficiency in using the time is high. All right. So you should do the same thing by combination like that with B and D, right, and so on, right? So make sure that it's subject to the condition that the maximum station time is 16. All right. All right. It's not so difficult, right? If you know the principle. Right. Now that is the problem related to the assembly line balancing. Now just move to another practice problem, right? So another practice problem is chapter 14. It also one of your homework, right? It also one of your homework. Chapter 14 problem problem 14.17. Okay, so the requirement is that you must complete the MRP material requirements plan using the EOQ, economic order quantity technique, all right? Lot sizing technique. Lot sizing means that you determine, right, the how many units per order. The size, you have to determine the size of the order. Another word, right, for how many units per order. So because you use the EOQ load sizing technique, you must calculate the optimal order quantity, EOQ. How can you calculate 57 as the EOQ? So you don't know the demand for the whole year yet, but what you know is the demand for 12 weeks here, right? You know the demand for the 12 week here. Look at the gross requirements row and the yellow cells I just highlighted. Again, you don't know, right, the demand for the whole year, but you know the demand for 12 weeks. So you can easily calculate, right, the average. You can easily calculate the average, the weekly demand, and then assume that assume 52 weeks per year, right? All right. So let's say annual. So annual demand is oh, tell, right? All right. All right. So you have to correct a little bit right here. The demand for the 12 weeks, not 10. Right. Either total of the gross requirements in this table. All right. Look at the column sum here, right? That's the total of the gross requirements. That is the demand for the 12 weeks. So you can know the weekly demand, and then you say you assume 52 weeks per year, and you can calculate the annual demand, which equal 1,430 units. Okay, so you know D, you know annual demand, right? You know S, how much per order. You know H, how much to carry a whole unit for the whole year. Then you can use the EOQ formula, and then the result of the EOQ calculation is 57. It means that every time you order, you receive 57 units. The MRP here using the EOQ. Several options, right? But any option is acceptable, right? So let's say you don't want to pay the stock out cost. The stock out cost means that the cost due to the shortage of the supply. So for example, some supplier, right, penalize. Some customer, right? Some customer very difficult. They penalize the supplier if the supplier lack or in shortage of the supply. All right, on the deadline, okay, on the due date. So you can understand the stock of cost like penalty punishment cost, right? The customer impose on the suppliers. So the problem say that the stock cost is $10, right, per unit. All right. So let's say the policy of the company is not to tolerate the penalty or stock cost. Then you look at the option 1 here. All right. So every time you receive 57, so you have to calculate the net requirements. Why net requirement? Net requirement because you don't need to purchase if you don't need to order new items if on-hand items are available. For example, look at week 1. On-hand items available are 40. The demand only 30, right? So you the demand is 30. The on-hand 40, greater than the demand. So you don't need to order new items. All right. So you use the on-hand items. 40 minus 30, so any inventory is 10, right? And you carry 10 any inventory to the following week 2. All right, and so on, right? Week 2 the demand is 0. Week 3 the demand is 40. On hand 10, so the net is 30. So you must receive. But we know that the EOQ policy wants you to receive to order 57 to receive 57. All right. The lead time is 1 week. So 1 week before week 3, you must place the order. All right. You see, and so on. So that's the principle, right? Actually, in one other class, I explained very detailed already, right? So just a quick review, right? But if the company policy is to tolerate some stock of cost, right? And you look option 2 here, stock out policy here, and you have to pay the stock of cost, right? Here with the stock out cost option 2, all right, the stock of cost is 330 because 16 item short at week 7, 12 item shortage at week 11, and 5 item short, right? Actually, I used the end of week 12. Okay, the end of week 12, 5 item shortage. All right, so take a total of the shortage items and multiply with 10 stock of cost per item, and then the stock of cost is 330. Right, and then you calculate the total TC, the total cost. Okay, yeah, like that. Just a recap, right? So I don't go to the details. Okay, what else I need to review? All right, so let's log in your Blackboard, right? There's so many practice problems in the Blackboard. So many practice problems in the Blackboard. So I attached, right, some practice problem document, right, in the content, and I also prepare a final practice test. Remember, the final practice test is not graded. Okay, and I give you up to 5 attempts. So you do one time, you see the solution, you know where you're wrong, where you correct, and then you repeat, right, the submission until you're confident. Okay, so you see on the screen here, question 1. To make sure that you know how to calculate the EOQ, right? Question 2. To make sure that you understand, okay, how you prepare the MRP using the lot for lot sizing technique. Question 3. All right, again the MRP, right? But let's say if the company policy is the EOQ lot sizing, EOQ policy. So every time, right, you order 57. So there must be some week stock count happens. All right, and what is that week? All right. Question 4. Again, lot for lot sizing technique. You must understand what does it mean. Question 5, a little bit tricky, right? Question 5 ask you, right, some question about the probabilistic inventory model. However, just for practice, right, in the final exam, okay, we will not ask you about the probabilistic inventory models, right? Because right, we don't offer you the Z table, right? Right. So just for practice, right? I mean, for the probabilistic inventory model, which require you to use the Z table. Okay, it's just the practice. It's not for the test in the exam, final exam. All right. Question 6, MRP. Question 7, also MRP, right? You see, MRP is so important, right? EOQ, MRP, lot for lot MRP. Question 9, IBC. Yeah, again, IBC using the Pareto principle. Your job is to determine, right, the class A items, because the class A item contributes, right, up to 80% of the sales revenue. So you need to monitor the supply of the class A item very closely to make sure that, right, there's no disruption of class A item, because if there's a shortage of the class A items, you will lose the sales revenue significantly, right? But again, the IBC classification technique requires the spreadsheet, right? Spreadsheet, for example, Excel spreadsheet. But in the exam room, right, you are not allowed to use the laptop, right? So IBC technique for inventory control, just for practice only, not in the final exam. How to build a net material requirements plan, MRP. Okay, we know that to build a net requirements plan, we must know information data as the input. For example, on-hand inventory, the lead time. Okay, because we need to calculate the net requirements. Yeah, so such information is given here. You know, in this table, in the master production schedule, you know the lead time for each item, right? You know the on-hand quantity for each item. All right, and you also know the product structure tree. All right. Okay, product structure tree will guide you to determine how many items needed and when. All right. All right. Chapter 12, question 12, for you to practice the assignment problem. All right. And question 13, the two machine alternation rule for job prioritization. All right. Question 14. Oh, probabilistic item again. It's good for you to practice the service level in the probabilistic inventory model. But again, because in the exam room, we don't give you the Z table. So without the Z table, right, you cannot determine the probability or the service level, right? So this is just for practice. Why a question about the location strategy, right? This is the location strategy, right? Okay, just for fun, right? All right, draw the product structure tree, right? All right, but can you spell this one? Ben plate.
Tên thầy.
Okay, I'm joking, right? I will remember you, right? Long time. All right, so let's say do your best, right? And then you enter your answer and just submit, right? Just submit, and then you click OK. All right, and you can see the solution. All right, the correct answer. So you compare your answer with the correct answer, and if they are the same, right, you are good to go. But if your answer is not the same as the correct answer, right, you need to practice it over and over again. All right. I don't attach the correct product structure tree, right? Because it's nowhere, right? But I already provided the correction in the class the other week. All right, so what else? Okay, so that's one way for you to practice before the final exam. Another way is you download, right, on of the practice problem document here, right? Right, for example, chapter 9, in this practice problem document, okay, you can see the problem about balancing the line. You determine the cycle time because you know the daily demand, right? Because we know the daily demand 40 units per day, you must calculate the required cycle time and use the calculated cycle time. You balance the line, right? Because the combination of task with task must subject to the constraint that the new station time cannot greater than the cycle time. All right, so there's the answer here. All right, some students because some students confuse between how to calculate the minimum number of stations and write the manual line balancing. Okay, if you follow the heuristic rule for line balancing, that is the manual solution or practical solution. Okay, so we use the heuristic rule to combine A, B, and C in one station, and it's still okay because the station 1 here, the new station 1 here, time is still less than 12. It's still less than the cycle time tail, right? Or maybe equal, right? Let's say A 2, B 2, so for C 8. Okay, exactly 12, right? Perfect. All right. So the new station 1 here, combine A, B, and C, has the new cycle time 12 equal calculated design cycle time tail. It means that there's zero idle time at station 1 for A, B, and C, and that's perfect efficiency. All right. Right, so again, when you use the rules of heuristics for line balancing and combination, you follow the manual practical layout for line balancing. Some students just use the formula in the textbook. Okay, that's okay. Okay, this is a formula you divide the total work time by the cycle time, and then the result is 3.17 station. That's a minimum number, but the number of stations must be countable, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not 3.17, right? So you have to say, okay, the minimum the number of the workstation is 4. All right, you cannot round down, right? Because the value 3.17 is the smallest allowable. You cannot round down to 3, right? It's not allowable. But in your answer paper in the exam, right? Okay, if you are asked to use the heuristic rule for line balancing and combination, you have to show the combination in the resident diagram like this. Otherwise, you got some minus points. All right. What else? Some questions and answer for chapter 11. Yes, in chapter 11, you don't have the quantitative problem or problem solving problem, but in the problem 11, supply chain management, you must pay attention to conceptual, right? Conceptual. All right. It's just for practice, right? I'm not going to ask you, right, the calculation in the supply chain management chapter. All right. You also practice the problem here in this document for chapter 12, inventory management, IBC. All right. And then EOQ, right? EOQ, quantity discount, right? Chapter 14, MRP, right? Okay, again, it gives you some additional problems for product structure tree and gross requirements plan. Okay, it's not enough. This document, right, about the chapter 14 is not enough because it doesn't give you the practice problem for the net requirements plan, right? And EOQ loss sizing technique or lot for loss sizing technique, right? So you have to refer to your homework, right? All right. So back to the list. The last chapter, short-term scheduling, chapter 15. Problem 1 about assignment problem. Okay, who is the best to complete each job so that the total assignment cost the smallest. Okay, that's the principle. You just easily follow the step by step, right? Stated in the textbook, right? Problem 2 here, priority rules, one machine rule, right? I told you, right, the best priority rule for one machine case is SPT, smallest or shortest processing time, because SPT priority rule minimizes the completion time for all of the jobs and maximizes the utilization of the resources. Johnson rule for two machine, right? In the problem 4. All right, the solution here. Now, the last attached file here, exercises for chapter 12, right? Oh, no. No. Okay, so this one I ask you to draw the product structure tree and the build-up material, right? And I also ask you to prepare the gross requirements plan, GRP, and net requirements plan. All right, so this is supplementary to loss sizing technique problem. Yeah, that's all for today, right? Not so much, not too much for your review, right? Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Wing.
Over the past few weeks, you say that the final STEM, we have one concept question and two problem solving question. So I want to ask that which chapter to use to answer a concept question
No, I
and
can.
problem solving?
No. I cannot answer that question, right? No. The concept question may be related to chapter 9, might be related to chapter 11, might be related to chapter 12, inventory, might be related to chapter 14, material requirement plan, might be related to the short-term scheduling chapter 15, right? So you have to jot down, right, the key concepts for each chapter, right, in the only A4 paper in the exam room. I narrowed down too much already. I cannot narrow down any longer and anymore. Okay. Any other questions? Yến Nhi, where Yến Nhi? Yến Nhi, not Yến Nhi. Are you here, Yến Nhi? Okay, maybe she doesn't have a microphone. Any other question? Trinh? No. Tâm? No. Thư? No. All right, so I think right, we stop here because we don't have the long break time, and you need time, right, to review, right? So just to summarize, right, just to summarize, the duration of the final exam 1 hour and a half, right, 90 minutes. Closed book, you are permitted to bring in the exam room only one A4 sheet, right, double-sided. So make sure that you jot down the key concept points, right, for chapter 9, 11, 12, 14, and 15. Only 3 questions, 1 conceptual questions, 1 conceptual question, and 2 problem-solving questions. Conceptual question may be related to any chapter, 9, 11, 12, 14, or 15. Problem-solving question, as I just narrowed down today, right? You focus your review on how to resolve the problem like line balancing, right? Chapter 9, EOQ calculation, quantity discount calculation, production order quality model, right? And so those inventory models in chapter 12. And you carefully review, right, the EOQ lot sizing technique in chapter 14, lot for lot sizing technique in chapter 14, and review the technique in scheduling, right, include the assignment problem, 1 machine rule, and 2 machine rule. Okay, I will show all of the answer in the homework. All right, is that all right? For example, the answer to scheduling chapter, so that you can see where to improve. The TA, right, told me that she will let you know when to organize a tutorial session later. All right, so if you want to clarify others, you go to her tutorial session. All right. Any other questions? Jin? No? Okay, we stop here, right? So I think the recording available after today, right? So if you want to review, if you want to watch the recording again, you can do it. Is that correct, Wing? Yeah, all right. Okay, so now it's time to leave. All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, teacher.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, teacher.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, thầy.
Bye em. Yến Nhi hồi nãy thì kêu thì không có trả lời, mà bây giờ goodbye thì trả lời.
Khánh Linh thầy ơi.
Khánh Linh hả? Khánh Linh nói hả? Ok, thank you Khánh Linh, goodbye.
Bye bye thầy.